Hello, I'm Catherine, and welcome to my hillside garden. Today we're going to be in the grow room. It's raining outside this morning, so I can't take the camera out with me to do things in the yard. So I decided I have some tomato plants that need to be transplanted or potted up. They won't go outside yet. They'll still stay in the grow room for a while. But I thought I'd take you along and show you what I do. Okay, I've already filled this tray of pots, and what I do is I didn't have any potting soil inside. I had the Black Gold seed starter and some of our locally sourced compost. So I mix those together, half and half. I fill this tray. This is what I put my tomatoes. They're step up from the small cell trays. I also have this little butter container that's the perfect size. So once I've filled with soil, what I'll do is I'll just tamp them down very lightly just to be sure that there's not a lot of space, because I try to have them as full as I can. Sometimes before I bought these trays, I would pot up into these containers, and they're good containers. I got them from Amazon, and I forget if I got 40 of them. But the only problem is when you put them in a flat, you don't get as many in a flat because they're round. So I use these as extras now. I did purchase some of these square pots. They are made in the United States. I did get them off of Amazon, and they're about the same size, a little bit smaller than these trays. These will do some of the plants also. But today we're going to work with these. I like them. They fit in the flat. They're all the same size. They're easy to fill. Today I have some Kosovo tomatoes. It's the first time I'm growing them. I planted them on March 20th, and they mature in 75 to 80 days. Now, since I know I'm going to fill up this flat with 2 of the cell packs, I'm not going to make labels for each pot. I'll worry about that once I pot them up for the last time. So generally what I do, I have a glove on because I don't want all this dirt to go under my fingernails. I make a drill with my finger, as deep and kind of wide as well, because you don't really know what your roots are going to be like when you take them out of the pot. Make sure your soil is a little bit damp, and that'll help the hole that you make stay so that it doesn't cave in on itself. And you don't want to shock the plant too much, so it should be a little bit moist. I will water them once the whole tray has been planted. So I take them out, and this one has 2. You always want to try to grab from the leaves and not the stem if you can, and very gently tease them apart. If they won't, oh, there they go. See, I hope I have this on camera for you to see what I'm doing. You really want to try to stay away from holding the stem. Now what I'll do to be sure that you get to see this, don't put it in just at the level that it was in your cell pack. Tomatoes will grow roots from the stem where you see the little hairs. So be sure that you take it and you can push it all the way down into the pot until you hit the leaves. Now, since this has some space around it, what I'll end up doing is I'll take some of the soil mix and I'll fill in that amount. And that way it'll be right up to there, and that whole part that I planted underneath in the soil, in the hole, will be sure to grow roots from it. I'll do this one also just so you could see. So I put my finger all the way down in the pot, and then I'm going to pick it up from its leaves. There's a little bit of soil attached to it. It has a decent amount of roots on it. I'm going to push it very gently down as far as we can to the top of the leaves, to the bottom of the leaves, and then we're going to firm it in. And you want to make sure you don't break the stem. when you transplant or pot up your tomatoes, what you want to be sure of is that they have some of their true leaves. See, in these, there were 2 seeds planted in here. I do that sometimes when I haven't had a good germination rate, but this time they've come out great. I've gotten 2 plants in each. Now, I could just cut this one away if I wanted to, but since the soil is easy enough to tease apart, I'll do the 2 plants. Now, one of the things that happens to a lot of gardeners is they plant too many of things, and I've been known to do that. So I try very hard only to plant what I know I'm going to need or what I know I'm going to share. And most oftentimes, tomato plants you can share with your friends and family, and it allows them to try a new type of tomato. Pick that up, put that in as far as we can go, and we're going to firm it down. And if we need to, we can always add some extra soil in there. Last year I didn't plant enough tomatoes to make any tomato sauce or paste, so that's why this year with some of the newer ones that said they were good for paste or sauce or flavor, that's why I've planted some extras of those in the hopes of having a nice harvest of tomatoes to can up some sauce for the year. And that one I'm going to end up needing to add some soil to. And the other thing, the farther down you put them into the pot, you don't have to raise your grow lights as high to accommodate them. Oh, look at that. Now I'm going to have one blank space, but that's okay. Tease those apart, trying not to touch the stem. And then we'll put them in as deeply as we can. Oop, that one went a little bit deeper than I would want, but that's okay. So it looks like since I have this extra space and I don't want to forget what I did, I'll put another marker in this section. I'll show you when I'm done what I'm going to do. But I'll have room for one extra plant, and I want to be sure to use the whole tray as I can. I'll bring you back once I'm done. As I was planting out the Soldaki, which is a new tomato for me as well. Now, as I said, I put 2 seeds into each pod, each cell. And I wanted to show you something that I found with these. I hope I can get it in camera without it being too blurry. Generally, the tomato, their true leaves, look like this one when they come up. Look at this other one. The true leaves, the second set of leaves that came out, are different. The seed leaves look the same, but the true leaves look different. So I'm hoping seeds weren't mixed in. We'll see what happens when they grow out a little bit more. Okay, so I've gotten this whole flat planted with the tomato plants, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about each one. First, we have the Kosovo tomato, which is a pink heart tomato that tastes great and comes in fairly early. Then next we have the Soldaki tomato. Both of these tomatoes are new for me. The Soldaki tomato is a pink beefsteak with tangy, sweet, complex flavor. It is a Polish heirloom and it likes the heat. This is the one I told you that I have a few plants that came in with a different kind of true leaf. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to have with those 3 plants, but at least we have 3 with the correct tomato leaf. And the last one I transplanted today is Matt's Sweet Cherry. It is an indeterminate cherry tomato, and it runs like a weed, and it also produces tomatoes all the way up until frost. It is a heritage tomato, so I do save these seeds. Both the Kosovo and the Soldaki are also heritage, so I will save those seeds as well if I like those tomatoes this year. Okay, one of the other things I wanted to talk about, especially as you begin to transplant your seeds, once they get their true leaves, you want to start to feed them. Now, some seed starting mixes will have a small amount of fertilizer in them to help the seeds get going. In the past, I did not give my seed starts or my transplants fertilizer, and I think I did them a disservice. Last year, I did use a fish fertilizer, a liquid fish fertilizer. I advise against that when your grow room is in the house because it smells. And it doesn't smell just the day you use it, it smells for several days. So while I don't normally like to use chemicals in my garden, I did purchase some Miracle-Gro vegetable tomato plant food. It is a water soluble. I use it very diluted. In this watering can, I just put the smaller end of the scoop. They give you a scoop, and there's a large end and a small end. I just use that, and it is a diluted amount, but my starts have really done a lot better this year by giving a feed. And I do that about every 10 days, so it's every other watering. And I do water from the bottom. And what you can do is you can lift up your pots to see if you need to water very gently. And you can see it's dry down below. Then you put your pots back in, and you can just stick your watering can in and water from below.